crawlers trying to knock it down, except I use a table of support and it just tipped very far forward. But don't worry, the table is still up and operational as we go into the first lowers bracket game of the tournament. It is TT1 versus Gosu Ostojiy.
Here we go. We are going to have close by air spawns on MLG Metalopolis. Fnatic TT1 spawning at the 3 o'clock position as the red Protoss. And his opponent, the purple Zerg player from It'sGosu, and also fellow Canadian, it's going to be Ostojiy.
So Ostojiy has a good opening under his belt, but we haven't really gotten to see it get played off because he lost to that Dark Templar rush from Liquid Huck. But we do know his timing is near spot on. If he had just had a couple more seconds earlier of an evolution chamber, he would have held off that push no problem at all. And is that pylon a little bit too far back? That's going to be really close. He needs the forge to plant right there. This doesn't seem like something that TT1 would mess up, but it is going to be either right on the cusp, or he may have just screwed himself over, quite honestly.
Now, if this is looking kind of unfamiliar and you weren't actually watching Kiwi Kaki play earlier, this is one of the wall-offs that he did and was quite successful with, if I do remember correctly. But that pylon was moved up just a tad bit, about 1 hex forward, right in line with that supply depot like you were talking about, Sean. So TT1's going to have to either salvage this, or you might just have a plan altogether, and we're kind of reading into this too much. Jumping back over into the Zerg base, he does have that spawning pool going up, I believe was on 14, and then he'll probably take his hatchery because he hasn't gotten gas yet.
So there's the spawning pool, no gas. Looks like he's going to be doing that opening that we saw him do against Liquid Huck on Shakura's Plateau, taking the 3 hatcheries very quickly. TT1 trying to zap away at those drones, but no, it looks like the gas guys are planted by Ostojiy. This is a late gas. He's going to be building his hatch before speed, and it looks like TT1 does barely have enough pylon range. Mr. Stretch Armstrong pylon. And TT1, interestingly, planting a second pylon here. I actually think that this is a misstep. You should build the Nexus first, 1 cannon, and then the last building should be this pylon at the backside. It looks like he wants to have constant probe production, but again, I think he's not quite, except, oh my gosh, it's a Roach Warren.
Whoa.
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 Whoa. And he sees it as well.
Yeah, so we're freaking out because typically you'll see the Zergs just throw down the hatch to the natural, but Ostojiy is going for something very, very aggressive right here, actually completely negating the metabolic boost and using all of that gas for those roaches. It does take 25 gas per roach. Queen's going to be popping out here very, very soon. We are going to be seeing soon, I hope, yet another Overlord, because he can only currently make 3 roaches right now with his current supply. There is the first one. There's the second one. And the third one should be coming up here pretty soon.
Now this is a very funky opening by Ostojiy. He is going to be getting just 4 roaches to pick away at the front of this Protoss base, because Protoss cannot get a cybernetics core until that gateway is done. In other words, cannot get a single stalker to deal with those roaches until his cybernetics core is finished. And we're going to see the cybernetics core only just now starting. TT1 has plenty of probes out right now, but he may very well lose his early forge, might even struggle to keep that gateway alive.
See a late extractor trick there from the Zerg player, but currently now that Overlord did pop out. Big focal point right now in this match is going to be these 4 roaches that are making their way to Fnatic TT1's natural. We see a hatchery going down for Ostojiy back at his base, but yes, he is going to be able to pick off that forge, and one of the things that this could actually mean is that the Zerg player could possibly get some lings up that ramp very, very quickly. There are no actual cannons. We do see a pylon going down now at the top. 3 cannons in total for TT1. How is this going to play out, Sean?
Well, it looks like TT1 is just going to try to get the Stalker out as quickly as possible. And oh my god, the roaches actually make their way right up the ramp, not even going to wait for any fast units, just going to bust right on up to the high ground and start chewing away at those probes in the main. We see the roach also from the low ground dealing damage, and wow, the amount of damage that was dealt with these early roaches is tremendous. This is why the early expand is such a risk on this map, but TT1 with some nice micro is going to be able to defend against these roaches, but keep in mind, many probes have been killed off, and it looks like he's microing back against the roaches. Can he actually get this one Stalker? No! Nice play by TT1.
Total of 8 probes were just lost right there, but at the same time we saw 4 roaches go down from the purple Zerg player Ostojiy. So If we go ahead and look at the unit counting station, we have quite a bit of drones, 35 to 25 probes, and also a third base going down here over at the 11 o'clock position. 2 Stalkers are moving out, one with an extremely low amount of health, but the shields do recharge very, very quickly. They're trying to pick out these Overlords here, and they will most likely get that. It does go down, but another Overlord, I believe, just popped, so he's at 44 of 44.
He's staying
red
perfectly supply capped at all points in time, JP.
Yeah.
Identical food, 44 as to where he was seconds ago. This is a very cool spot that we see in this game, very unusual, where Zerg actually has almost no control. Speed Zerglings, though they might be weak, give you so much vision and are so fast that you have a lot more control over the space in the game. In particular, those Zelnaga watchtowers are very easy to keep the eye on. Spinecrawler going down, Evo Chamber going down, but again, Ostojiy playing completely in the dark.
A 5th gateway will just be put down by TT1, as well as a second forge, or no, excuse me, another forge, as that one was taken out by those roaches. Warp gates are finished. He has only one right now fully operational, and here comes an Overlord from Ostojiy. He is going to see yet another gateway, so that will make for 5 gates right now. No, 6 gates, as one more is going to be warping in there at the natural. And if we look in the production cap, speed's about to finish here. Another Queen Spinecrawler is going down over at the natural. He does only have a couple of lings and a handful of roaches to defend against this, getting the melee attacks level 1. At the very same time, ground weapons level 1 going down for TT1.
Now, I have seen TT1 do this many times before. What he traditionally ends up doing is trying to get a lot of units before he pushes. He doesn't try to get a fast push on 6 gates. He tries to get many, many units on 6 gates. Let's see the way that he has transitioned out of that. It looks like, one pylon up on the high ground gets spotted. The Zerglings don't quite know what to target fire. TT1 trying to pull back into this back corner, as he did take a little bit of damage, but as those more zealots get morphed in. Oh no, and it looks like he's going to get surrounded. TT1 in a little bit of a bind, more zealots getting morphed in. Desperately needs to keep control of those pylons, and it looks like these Zerglings might spot the second pylon at the back.
3 sunken, or Spinecrawlers were just lifted, but at the same time, TT1's going to clean up that attack. He will save that pylon. Looking at these 3 Spinecrawlers irking so slowly across the no creep zone. They have secured the 3rd. They're going to go ahead and land, but at the same time, it's going to take them 12 seconds. The Queen trying its best to defend against that. Now the roaches are getting in on it, and TT1 will fall back and possibly wait for yet another warp-in, or throw down a robotics down back at his base and just fall back, it looks like.
Yeah, TT1 looks like he's not trying to commit to anything here, and this is increasingly becoming a theme in almost all the build order styles, where you will see one player get really aggressive in the way everyone else does, but then pull back and have a next step. And look at this. Double robotics facility from TT1. This is an aggressive play. He's going to get a bunch of Immortals out as quickly as he can and go for a second wave push. And wow, brilliant decision. The hatch is not even halfway morphed to a layer. It's going to be just roaches and lings he's against.
Now, is he going to be able to support these 2 robotics facilities and all of these gateways off of 2 base, Sean? Are we going to be seeing a 3rd base anytime soon?
I definitely do not think that he'll be able to support all of them, but I think instead what he wants is some gateway units, but so many Immortals that the roaches essentially don't do anything in this fight. And then what he can do is have the Zerglings get torn up by his +1 attack Zealots. It's a very clever play. There's the Immortal coming out now.
We see great creep sped right now from Ostojiy, as it's completely going straight towards TT1's base. That is going to become more and more annoying as the Observer did just pop out. I think TT1 might be trying to go ahead and make sure that doesn't come any closer to his base, but at the same time, 125 supply for the Zerg player, 118 for the Protoss player. He's at the edge of the creep. He will take out that forward creep tumor. That will stop it from moving any forward unless a Queen wants to come out. Does have one Queen there with 100 energy. It looks like he's going to continue creeping up the map.
So we see again double Immortal production en route. Another gateway by Fnatic TT1, but I don't actually think that that was a good decision. He's up to 7 now. In the center of the map, we see the Roach Ling gathering together. Gosu Ostojiy continuing to add on more larvae, macroing as best he can, and this is a wildly different mid-game situation from what we saw between Huck and Ostojiy. I mean, there might be 6 Immortals popping out very soon, but oh no, the Zergling spots the double robotics facility, so he knows what he's going to be up against.
Pathogen Glands almost complete. Burrow very, very close to competing. We do have Infestors going to be popping down here pretty soon, but at the same time, a huge amount of drones were just hatched. Missile attack's going to be finishing pretty soon, but this is a huge attack coming from TT1. 145 supply, and looking at Ostojiy's army right now, it is not that big. He does have quite a bit of spine crawlers, but those Immortals are just going to chew through those, and then the Roaches falling right after.
I mean, the amount of Immortals here is going to be very difficult for these Roaches to deal with, but the Zerglings managed to get in. And look at that perfect Guardian Shield. Every single Protoss unit is underneath that umbrella. TT1 also controlling his Observer well, trying to spot everything properly, is planting those forward pylons, but is sweeping around to the left to get a better angle. He is a little more vulnerable, though. He does need to reinforce quickly. Ostojiy, oh no, catching the reinforcements off guard.
Now, TT1 might not even care about those reinforcements. He might just go ahead and move in, and that's exactly what he's going to do here. 4 Infestors are oh so close to being finished, but it does not look like they're going to come out in time, as now those Sunkens, or those Spine Callers, will be taken out so quick. And we have Ostojiy coming back now across the map with a bunch of Roaches, a bunch of Lings. TT1's already advancing onto this hatchery.
The Infestors now hatch, and it looks like there's a big goop up right in the center of those units. The Roaches are coming from below, but my god, these fast 4 Immortals are just brutalizing this Roach army. Look at that, 11 kills, 9 kills, 7 kills. The Spine Crawler on the high ground falls, and the aggressive play from TT1 looks like it is going to be able to bring him a victory here in Game 1, unless those fungal growths can soften up this army a little bit more.
Force field at the ramp that will deny any reinforcements there from the main. He does have one lone Infestor with enough energy to go ahead and get another fungal, but here is a big reinforcement. TT1 now with the 1-1. Not sure if he's going to be able, or excuse me, not sure if Ostojiy's going to be able to actually hold this. A big fungal going down. Looks like he's taken out the natural. Now he wants to go ahead and take out this third with the macro hatch, but is it going to be enough? 2,400 minerals for the Zerg player, but he is not going to be able to hold this right now. Oh, the Infestors are going to get sniped there underground. There is an Observer from TT1. More reinforcements now pouring in from a forward pylon right into high yield. TT1 not sure when he wants to move in. He's going to throw down one last force field at the ramp of the main and pull back a handful of sentries to make sure he can continue to do that. He's going to make quick work of this third base.
And there's a good game, a great tactical play by TT1, locking down that ramp, and in particular, the double robotics facility timing to get 4 Immortals almost immediately after that 6 warp gate push failed.
Yeah, and that was a great decision making there from TT1. He knew exactly what he wanted to follow up that early aggression with, and TT1 now is 1 game closer to moving forward in the losers bracket. Ostojiy is 1 game closer to being eliminated from the loser bracket.
We didn't quite see the same Ostojiy from the previous games. Ostojiy looked amazingly solid against Huck, but in that game getting 2,500 minerals at a pretty common spot in his EVP. It looks like he might be a little shaken up. Oftentimes the break before the match can throw you off mentally.
That's true, that's true. And like we were talking about earlier, this is his first LAN event, so he might not just know exactly how to handle all of this pressure of being in the losers bracket. I mean, that is very, very daunting to think about your first tournament here. You go up against a player like Huck, all the way from Seoul, South Korea, one of the world's best players. You lose, you go into the losers bracket, now you're playing against another great Protoss in TT1. It's got to be nerve-wracking for the Canadian player.